Exactly 20 minutes after 7, we promise we'll spend quite a bit of time on this SA ex-police officers who have now been deported, but the conversation still continues. A lot of people getting into this picture as well. Yesterday, the Ghana Immigration Service issuing a statement. They were responsible for the deportation. Roland and myself were tackling the issue. We'll be joined by lawyer Gary Nimako-Mafo, but our colleague Kwache Afrenyama is here with us. He's got a bit of information to share with us. Kwache, good morning.
Good morning, Mama V. How are you doing?
Very well.
Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, great.
You wanted to say something.
I said all I wanted to say. Don't be mischievous, Mama V.
Yeah, I hear you. Yes, boss. But there's a bit of information that you know related to this subject. What is that?
Yes, I'm sure you recall that the Interior Ministry press statement stated one aspect of it was that, and I want to read specifically the point 10, say that a review of the visa applications submitted by the 3 South Africans revealed that 2 of the suspects, that's Jokani and Naidu, were invited by Dr. Daniel McCaughey, who is the chairman of Magdan Group of companies, and the leader of the group, that's Haziz, was invited by the executive director of the Dankwa Institute per the BNI own investigation. So I called up the 2 men. In fact, both men refused to grant a formal interview, but particularly for Dr. Daniel McCaughey, sources close to him tell me that indeed he invited the 2 men, as a BNI statement said, that is Jokani and Naidu. And what happened, the understanding is that he owns a security company called AFWest. And this invitation was based on reasons purely to train his men, to capacity building for purely business purposes as well. But at the point when all this took a political twist, he simply decided to step aside. But of course, that also raises some questions about how the MPP also got involved in all this, how the MPP got in contact with these 3 South Africans, at least at this point, the 2 that Dr. McCaughey invited. But for the executive director of the Dankwa Institute, Nana Atobra Kwaku, he says that he declined comments. In fact, he will not confirm or otherwise whether or not he invited these men. But the sense I got from both men, Dr. McCaughey and Nana Atobra Kwaku, is that contrary to the statement by the Interior Ministry, they had not received any invitation at all from officials of the BNI, because the statement was quite categorical that there had been efforts to read them and question them on this entire controversy, and those efforts had not been successful. But they insist that they not had any or received any phone calls from any officials of the Bureau of National Investigation.
In their capacity as persons who had invited these men into the country?
Into the country,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you also get a sense that if then we have to just suppose that very scenario of, let's say, a private security firm inviting the 2, and then subsequently perhaps their services also being offered or being solicited by the MPP, then there was nothing wrong at all if the MPP did same, if a private security firm could do so?
Well, the question now goes to whether or not AFWest followed the due processes, because what the BNI and the Interior Ministry have insisted along is that they had to go through certain processes. For example, seeking some clearance from the Interior Ministry before they could undertake this sort of training. In fact, the statement by the Interior Minister stated that Captain Koda, who is head of Nanado Security, mentioned that on hindsight, he thinks that he should have gone through those processes. So certainly, if AFWest sought that sort of clearance, of course, being if indeed it's a registered security company that also provides those sort of VIP services, you would imagine that they would seek that clearance from the Interior Ministry.
Subsequently, if the statement indeed was purporting or had said that they had tried to get in touch with the two but had failed or not been in a position to, and they also logically saying they had not been contacted. Did they try to then offer themselves to necessarily the BNI and the Interior Minister for questioning?
Well, and I'll mention what Nana Atobrakwaku, the executive director of the Dankwa Institute, said. He said that, well, you called me and I picked my phone. He was speaking to me in a phone conversation. You called me and I picked my call. I have not received any phone call from any official of the BNI. Anytime I receive a phone call, I make sure that I pick up that call. So he, from where he says he's waiting for BNI officials to invite him and not necessarily base it on what he's seen or in a press statement saying that they'd been making efforts to reach him. But you get a clear sense that the two men are willing to avail themselves to for the necessary interrogation into this matter.
Mm. Were you able to pick their mind as to, now that the three have been deported, perhaps that would bring some level of closure to the subject, and so they're not too worried that their names are still being bandied around?
Well, I got no sense that both men are worried about this entire development, but I must say this conversation I had with them was before the news came about the deportation of the three South Africans, but clearly no sense that they are disturbed about this entire development or the possibility of being invited by officials of the BNI for interrogation. Roland.
Well, we have to say thank you very much for giving us that piece of information, and we know that you're also following on other leads subsequently on this, and then we'll try and broaden the whole subject of discussion as Gary Nimako Mafu, a legal practitioner, will be joining us for further discussions, Mamavi.
All right. We will also speak to a lawyer, a very prominent one, of course, Atukwe Otu, who has some history to this. This apparently has happened before. He will give us the details of that. But let me read a bit of Roland, this from the Ghana Immigration Service. You know that they've explained that they repatriated the 3 South African ex-police officers who were arrested in Ghana for training the security detail of the flag bearer and running mate of the opposition New Patriotic Party, because the 3 concealed the true reasons for their visit. According to the GIS, it was a breach of Section 52, Clause 1 of the Immigration Act 2000. In a statement signed by the GIS director, the GIS noted that the fact that the 3 South Africans were overseeing security drills contradicted their stated purpose for coming to Ghana. And this is a quote: they were training 15 Ghanaians out of Accra in security drills, which contradicts their express purpose for their coming to Ghana, which was to attend meetings. Additionally, it is the view of the GIS that the training exercise conducted by the 3 at the El Capitano Hotel in the Central Region to a group that did not invite them is clearly a confirmation of the attempt to conceal the motive for their visit, and was therefore a breach of Section 52, Clause 1 of the Immigration Act 2000, Act 573. Their act is also a breach of the conditions precedents for the issuance of visas as contained in the instructions on Form B of the immigration regulation. All these contained in that statement. The GIS also indicated that the 3 South Africans did not know exactly who invited them to Ghana, but the available evidence point to Magdan Shipping Limited as the organization that invited them. But as you heard there from Kwacha Frenrama, the Magdan nor the person at the Dankwa Institute who was also fingered, if you like, they have not been contacted to explain their part of it. We've now been joined in here by lawyer Gary Nimako Mafu. Good morning to you.
Morning,
thanks for making it.
It's been difficult this morning coming here.
I know. Traffic is
terrible. But tell you how when you get here, you'll be surprised. Yes.
All right, but it's good to finally have you in here.
Right, thank you very much.
First of all, on this matter of the 3 South African ex-police officers who have now been deported, what happens to the case? Because we haven't quite finished with it. The case has not been withdrawn.
Let me say good morning to your viewers, and good morning to you sitting here.
Thank you.
I think that basically what is going on, in my view, is not proper. Now, let me give you at least a few sequence of events as I've followed so far. First of all, you will recall that these men were said to be doing security training or drills for some persons in what region was that?
In the central region.
Central region. Now, they were arrested, put before court, even beyond the 48-hour mandatory rule. Now, ordinarily, if you put somebody before court and the court grants bail, the BNI, you must now go to the bail conditions. The BNI has no mandate again to take the person out of the court premises to their zone. You see, especially when the judge had said that keep the person in my registry and make sure they go to the bail conditions. Upon satisfying the bail conditions, then let them go. Then you now take them from the court premises to your security facility. That itself is a proper violation of the court's own authority. You see what they have done. Now, looking at what they have done, the court grants bail, you don't fulfill the bail condition. Next thing you hear is that you have deported them out of the country. It has got serious implications for this country.
But just before you continue, how about the bit about the GIS coming into that? Because we're told at that point the reason they were taken away was because the immigration service was interested in the matter.
That is correct, Omavi. Let's not forget one thing. Every country runs by laws and regulations. If for some reason these guys have violated an express law in this country, you don't deport them. You must take them to a Ghana court and try them. Convict them if the punishment of conviction before you deport them. You see, the manner in which they have been deported, it marks some mischief.
What sort of mischief are you referring to?
Let me give you the mischief why it's not the mischief. You see, first of all, let me take from the Ghanaian scenario. Let's say I go to UK. I go to UK illegally. If you are filling your visa form, there's a reason for the forms. Purpose of visit, you put it there. Maybe business, maybe a tourist visa, maybe student visa, maybe whatever. If for some reason the authorities in the UK realize that at the time of filling the forms, I made false declaration, you don't just deport me at the point of entry. What they do is that they will now take you to a local court or a home court, try you, convict you. After you serve a sentence, they will now deport you. If there are genuine reasons why they must keep you there, they matter the procedure. So if you arrest the people, put them before court, the court says, well, I've granted them bail, let them go upon meeting the bail conditions. Then you don't let them go to the bail conditions. You take them to facility of the BNI. And when you finish, now we're in the Easter vacation, is that not correct?
It was a long holiday.
The court ordinarily, district court will start work. They started work yesterday.
As a working day, yes.
As a working day. Before they could be aware, on the morning of yesterday, you take them out of the country. So if you really had a genuine reason for keeping them or arresting them, why are you now avoiding the courts? In any event, is the BNI now an extension or extending its powers beyond the courts? Let's not forget one thing. You see, in any civilized society, the courts are the only avenues to ensure that the rights of the ordinary man, the rights of the rich man is protected.
Okay. We'll ask you to hold it there, Gary, but we'll continue, Roland.
Because we have on the line a former Attorney General, and he's also currently a legal practitioner, so very active in service, lawyer Ayikwe Otu. A very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Okay. Now, particularly for this very incident, is it peculiar in our history or peculiar to our country, having 3 South Africans come in and the way and manner in which the whole incident occurred and subsequently them being deported as of yesterday?
Thank you very much. It seems to me that we may not be using the correct words in what we are discussing. Because there is a difference between deportation and repatriation. In deportation, it is for the minister responsible for interior to certify that somebody has been declared a persona non grata in Ghana and therefore he has been deported. And that will be done by what we call an executive instrument, and it will have a title, deportation order of so and so. Now, if it is the immigration that is doing this thing, saying that the people have gone against their visa requirements and what they put there and all that, then it is more of a repatriation.
Okay.
That you have done something against your visa, for which reason we have revoked that visa and we have repatriated you out of the country. So I think we ought to read the statement well. If it's immigration which is acting, then it is the immigration office, and they don't need to publish a deportation order. If it is the Ministry of Interior which is doing that, then it needs to do a deportation order. I have not had opportunity to read the statements well, but I hear BNI saying they are holding the people for the immigration service and all that. So let us be careful about the words we are using. Have they been deported or have they been repatriated? I don't know whether your journalists have taken time to do that distinction. Are you with me?
Yes, we're with you. Now, particularly when we know that this was reported by the Daily Graphic. And hello, are you still on the line? We seem to have lost him.
Yeah. But I have the Roland.
We will get in touch. We just lost lawyer Aikwe.
You have the act?
Also, no, I don't have the act. But you know, the Ghana Immigration Service issued a statement yesterday. They are taking responsibility for this. So, per the definition given to us by Mr. Aikwe Otu, we will not go by the graphic front page headline, which uses deportation. But in the context, it will be repatriation, because GIS is taking responsibility for what happened in the morning of yesterday, which is taking the 3 South Africans back to their home country, South Africa. You get what I mean, Roland?
But the GIS also have, they don't have the powers to deport, and according to what Mr. Aikwe Otu is saying, it also then brings into reality perhaps the misunderstanding, or perhaps the non-communication of the subject matter adequately to the ordinary Ghanaian or the Ghanaian public. What do you make of it?
You see, Roland, I think in all this, what we must see is that there is some executive influence in the way these things are just being handled. That is the whole thing. Because I hold a view that if these people have done something untoward which offends our laws in this country, the forum is the courts to deal with them. So why have we now abandoned the courts and then all of a sudden they've been taken out of the country? That's my question. If they have done anything untoward, they have to be taken to court.
Mr. Nimakumafo, we have Mr. Aikwe Otu joining us back. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us again. So ideally, in a situation of repatriation, because right now the Ghana Immigration Service has taken responsibility of what has happened in that statement that they issued yesterday. So we'll take it that it's a repatriation per the education that you've given us. Is that the way it happens? Can they just take them out of the country just like that, even when there's a court action against the 3 men?
You see, if it were deportation, then you have all the history that we spoke about and all the problems that have to do with the court order, the court proceedings. You have taken the people to court, to charge them with offenses. You know that under our constitution, you cannot hold somebody for more than 48 hours. So nobody forced the BNI to take the people to court. They themselves produce their bodies to the court and say, look, we want them to be further, kept in prison to enable us finish our investigation. The offenses, we are told, are nothing more than misdemeanors. So they are not very serious offenses for which people ought to be held that long in custody. And therefore, the judge, in her own wisdom, said, no, I am going to grant these people bail. Now, the simple matter of procedure is that when the person is granted bail, you take him to the registrar's office, and those shorties will go before him and post the bail. Once they meet the bail condition, then the people walk free. You know, when we turn this thing into a political, banter left and right, and I always blame the media. You call one MPP man and you go and call NDC. Everybody will try to defend his position and forget about the law. Yesterday, I heard somebody speak on one of your sister radio stations that nobody fulfills conditions or bail conditions in the registrar's office, and that it is not a police station. Their proper thing is to take them back to custody until you are ready, then you bring them back. I mean, you are confusing the public. And this is an NDC member doing this. Everybody knows that all you need to do is to go to the registrar and then get the documentation done before the registrar. You were in this country when I did the Kennedy Adipon bail. We all went before the registrar. We waited for Jake Obechabilante to bring his documentation by way of justification. He posted a bill and we took the man out. How can somebody go and say that the registrar's office is not a police station, so you cannot post bail there? So these are the conditions. Now, instead of allowing the people to be taken to the registrar's office for the bail conditions to be met, you wish the people back to custody. Now, realizing that you have disobeyed a direct order of the court and you could easily be cited for contempt, now you are finding excuses. So you now say that, they have breached their visa declarations, and therefore, under the Immigration Act, we can even repatriate them, and you have repatriated them. That is what they have done. So, that is all there is to it. They know that they are in breach of the law, and they can be cited for contempt and sanctioned. And so they now find a very nice excuse to go under the Immigration Act and to do what they've done. Because if it were a deportation order, the minister must, as I said, publish an executive instrument of a deportation of these three individuals, telling us that he has found that their activities to be inimical to the interests of the state and therefore be deported. Is that what the Interior Minister said? So at best, what is happening is more of a repatriation, which lies in the bosom or the domain of the Immigration Service more than the Police of Interior. So I think that we should be careful whether, find out exactly whether it is repatriation or deportation. I doubt whether it is deportation. Or if it were, then the minister would have published a deportation order.
So, Ms. Aikweotu, in the classic case of repatriation, it can just happen at any time. Nobody owes anybody any explanation.
No. It depends upon your visa. He's saying that what is involved, what we told us we were coming to is not what we are doing. If you recall, if you go back to the statement from the Immigration Service, they're saying that they are not even sure who invited them, that they came to attend meetings, and now they are training people, which means that they are not doing what they said they were coming to do, and for which reason the visas were given, and for which reason the visas could be revoked, and then they be asked to leave the country.
All right, sir. We thank you for your time this morning. Thanks for joining us on this matter.
But then as we continue the discussions, so now the Ghana Immigration Service has done what it has to do, taking them out of the country, and we're being told that it could be repatriation. But that has been done on the blind side of the court process that is ongoing. What does it mean within the context of the law? Because I'm getting my layman's view is that there's a case before the courts. They've been charged with some misdemeanor offenses. They've been given bail, but the court has not entirely adjudicated on the matter by way of completion. So they're likely to go back to court. But the next time the case is called, they are not in.
That is the difficulty. That's the difficulty.
So what, this is a foolish case now?
You see, when the bail was granted, all right, it doesn't mean the case is about to be disposed of. The bail simply means that, you can now go home, have a temporary reprieve. And then when you are ready, you will now go into the merits of the matter. Now, it appears very clear that the Republic itself has no case against the people. You have a case against them.
Well, that's your summation then.
Yeah, because if you have a case against the people, that what they did was untoward, what they did was illegal, it offends our laws. You don't whisk them away from the country. You should take them before the court and have the court punish them. So, the net effect of what they have done simply means that there is nothing against them.
I asked Roland this early.
Because now what happens
is
now?
the case going to be continuing in South Africa? Are they going to be held in South Africa, or they are free men in their country?
As it stands now, they are free men in their country. They are free men, and for the time they left the shores of Ghana, they are free men in their country. You see? So I have a big difficulty in the way the whole thing has been handled. It clearly means that maybe the thing was just for some mischief, propaganda or something. But really, if you have a case against these people, that you have done something illegal, you don't truncate the process by this way. You have to take them through the court system. After the bail has been granted, they come home, the case must proceed. You know? And then you bring the evidence against them that, look, I have evidence A, B, C, D against you. For a reason, the court must convict you and punish you. But now you brought the man before court, court granted bail. You didn't even let them go to the bail motions to have the bail bond executed. The next thing you hear is that, oh, the man has been they have been taken out of the country. So, on the next adjourned date, would they appear in court? If they appear in court, why would they tell the judge? Why would they tell the judge that the people who we brought before you, we've taken them out of the country? And so what happens happens with the case? So I think
and what also happens to the initial contempt, seemingly contempt moves by the BNI, taking the three away when the judge had not said keep them in your custody.
I think the judge knows his or her work and knows what to do, because clearly what they did is contemptuous. In fact, they have shown that they have no respect for the courts. And this behavior of the BNI, you see, it's not today it started. We've moved from this military era, and now we are in a civilized or more or less democratic society. And everybody will expect reasonably that when you come to the domain of the court and the court speaks, it should end the matter. You see, I do not expect, let me tell you, Mavi, there are even times that when Mavi, maybe you are arrested at BNI, your lawyer will go there, and I can tell you can sit there for hours on ending. They will let you see your client. 3, 4, 5 hours.
Even as a lawyer?
Even as a lawyer. They can hold a person incommunicado for a long period of time until you come to court with a habeas corpus application before they will come.
I think in the case of these men, when it started, or was it the Captain Koda? Because one of the lawyers did say that they had gone to the BNI premises and they couldn't see their clients.
That is their behavior. You see, and we cannot continue. I think there has to be a certain shift from this old era into a new regime where we cannot believe that we are working under a constitution, which guarantees freedom, liberties. And I think Ghana is becoming a laughing stock with this attitude of the BNI. Becoming a laughing stock.
But don't forget, Gary, that they also have a responsibility. They have a very important responsibility for keeping all of us safe.
That is perfect, Mamavi. You see, that is why we are always saying that it is proper to ensure national security within the ambit of the liberties afforded by the Constitution. Now, can we say that because of national security, if you are sitting somewhere with maybe your friend or having a discussion, you just move in and say, look, we think that what you are discussing amounts to a breach or a threat to the national security, therefore we are coming to arrest you.
Well, people
without any foundation.
Well, people have liberties, but those liberties are not unlimited.
That is correct, but the liberties that are not unlimited, those liberties, you must exercise them within the ambit of the law.
Well, true.
That is the reason why this spy bill, which is now before Parliament, has come under a lot of scrutiny. The National Security Coordinator being given the exclusive powers to say that, a certain communication amounts to a breach or likelihood breach. And therefore, within his own discretion, he will now truncate it and arrest those people. People are now looking at things very carefully. You see, we should be careful. We should be very, very careful. We must live in a country where we can feel safe, where we can feel that, look, if me and you have a problem and we go to the court system, the court is not there for the rich, not there for the poor, there for everybody. And when the court speaks, you must respect the court. If the court speaks, you don't respect the court, then where are we going? It means that obviously we are now going back to the jungle. That means the BNI by their own power or the police by their own power can do anything to you. And today it's this with South Africans. The next day it's me. The next day it's
if you were involved in this case as a lawyer, Gary, what would you have done next?
In terms of?
What kind of action if these were your clients?
By what they have done? Maybe by what they have done, obviously if I go to court, it means that now I have no case to continue. Because if you're a defense lawyer and the clients are no longer in the jurisdiction, what case are you going to continue? Don't forget that prosecution lies at the behest of the Attorney General. They are prosecuting you. You are rather defending. There's nothing for you to defend. What are you going to defend?
Can you sue them for all the inconveniences, for all the headlines and everything, for the embarrassment and all?
Who's going to be the plaintiff? The plaintiffs are out of the jurisdiction. Now they have been repatriated. They are no longer in the jurisdiction.
So they cannot ask you to do anything on their behalf in Ghana?
Well, unless they get a power of attorney to instruct somebody to do so on their behalf. Save that they cannot themselves enter the country again. Because having been repatriated, it clearly means that when they apply for another visa, they will not give them. So they may not be able to come here again. So if they have if they think that they have been violated in any way, they have to now instruct an attorney. An attorney, by I mean somebody who will appoint the power of attorney. That look, go to court on my behalf and do A and B and C and D on my behalf.
Oh, but they can do that even as they're in South Africa.
As in South Africa, that one they can do that.
Okay.
They can do that, but for they to personally enter this country, I think that it's not possible. They will not allow them back into the country.
Amidst all the discussions about repatriation and deportation, is the issue about the sort of information they divulge as to who invited them or who may not have invited them. Before you came to the studio, our colleague Kwacha Fenyama was in the studio saying, well, the two personalities, one with D.I. Dankwa Institute and the other with Magdan Shipping, who initially may have invited the initial two for training of his personnel in his own security company. Perhaps the sort of information that was also given to the BNI, or based on the interrogation, the sort of information they were giving to the BNI, also raised issues of suspicions, so to speak, and so created the kind of atmosphere that it did.
You see, Roland, I hold a firm view. I think that everything that we discuss should be within the context of the information available to the authorities. Now, if for some reason these persons, and I still maintain the position, these persons who came here have violated our laws, nothing prevents the authorities from going to the law courts. You see, but the manner in which they have acted now, clearly anybody sitting back and being a bystander watching will say, if you went and arrested them, put them in incarceration for about 3-4 days, put them before court, then the court granted bail, you did not let them execute the bail bond, you now took them back into your custody for the holidays, then on the morning of the working day before we are aware, you say they should go back. So if indeed there was something in the information that you received, God, all along we have not heard from them. We have not heard these people speak. These so-called
publicly, they had according to what the statements were coming from the Ministry of the Interior, etc. They had clearly spoken to them, giving them some level of information.
No, what I mean
based
is
on interrogation.
These accused persons or suspects, whatever they call them, they have not spoken publicly.
Yes.
So whatever information we are now discussing now is what is coming from the security agencies, and that can be skewed. That can be highly skewed. You see, let me tell you, if you get a problem with policeman, and you go to police station, they can even do their own story and say, look, this is the way it is going to be. So if the defense lawyer is not there to ensure that the right thing is done before you are aware, they will crucify your client at the police station. So I normally do not take one side story. If you have heard them speak, maybe you will have seen a different story. Now they didn't allow the court to even go into the matter. So now how are we going to know whether the story of the BNI or the security agency is actually the true story as it pertains on the ground, or the other side is what pertains on the ground? Now we don't know. We have all been shortchanged along the line. They say, okay, now go back. So now go back. Now when they go to the court at the next agenda date, what would they tell the judge? In fact, what would they tell the judge when the judge said, keep them in my registry, and they took the people away? How are they going to explain that? So you realize that when the case is called in court, I can assure you, they will not make a show. They will not go to court. They will not go to court. I can assure you, they will not go to court.
But if you want to discontinue a case, there are certain things that you have to do, right?
That is correct.
What is the Attorney General expected to do in this case?
Well, he has to file another prosecutor. And he has, if you have another prosecutor, he cannot give any reason. He's not bound to give reasons for why he's discontinuing the case.
So just write and say that I want to discontinue the case?
That's all, yes. And
the court will simply accept that?
That is, under the law, he's not bound to give reasons why he wants to discontinue the case.
Is it the same for as an ordinary person, if I file the case against you, can I just go and discontinue with no reason?
In a civil action, you can also discontinue. But you see, when you discontinue a civil action, because of the element of cost, depending on the stage in which the case has reached, if you take me to court, maybe I've been in court for like 6 months, a year, and then the trial's about to commence, you come and say you discontinue. The court will award costs against you. You don't just go and discontinue.
But if it's about a week, just like this case?
Or if I just filed a case and haven't been served, you have been served. You have not even entered the defense or appearance, and then I just discontinue. That one maybe you can go scot-free. But when you have, you have used expenses, resources to file papers, you have to pay money. Well, going to court it's not for free. The filing fees are very expensive. You must pay. So you cannot take somebody to court in a civil matter and then when you just say I have discontinued and you just walk away. No, it doesn't work like that. But in a criminal matter, even when the matter is even going all the way to the tail end, they can just come and say, well, not a prosecutor, and they are not bound to give any reason.
Yesterday, there was a statement from the Interior Minister. Was it on the holiday on Monday? And yesterday we had one
evening.
Captain Koda also coming, having his counsel issue a statement in reaction about whether he was involved in some treasonable or perhaps some unlawful actions in the past, and how that has a certain blot in his character. And in relation to that very much, to this very case, if you take a look at some of those actions, what is the action that Captain Koda, for example, can take, or even Captain Aqua, who are main protagonists in this very story?
You mean what action can they take against the state?
Definitely.
Or the state against them?
If they feel that
beyond the statement that has been issued.
If they feel that their integrity or their names have been maligned in.
Well, it depends. You see, everybody depends on how you think, whether you think that you have been maligned or you think that you have been wrongly prosecuted. You can take action in court. But you see, it depends on the fact scenario. This matter, for instance, it is too early in the day to complain that maybe
you've been embarrassed, you've been
embarrassed.
disgraced.
You can say embarrassment. You can talk about embarrassment. But you see, you call something this prosecution, malicious prosecution. See, that one they might have at least gone in the matter for some time to say that well A and B have done something to maliciously prosecute me when they had no basis for doing so. But this was early arrest. They check and say, well, we can go. They can make arrest. You can make arrest upon reasonable suspicion that something untoward is going on. But at this stage, I think it may not be a case to commence maybe a full-blown legal proceeding. It may not. I'm not saying they cannot. Looking at where I sit now, maybe for malicious prosecution, maybe no. But if you say, well, they have also embarrassed you, it's about the defamation when it comes against the
because
state.
we heard for Captain Koda, for instance, we heard he wasn't well. He was refused initially for seeing a doctor and everything. I mean, finally they released him. They let him go.
Yeah, those kind of tendencies, Mamavi, are peculiar characteristics of our agencies. Be it the police, be it the BNI. We have been dealing with them and we know. So when we sit here sometimes, we tell them that, look, these things must stop. If your client is even in custody and the person is even sick, they are even reluctant to take the person to hospital unless you go and chase them and complain to them before they go to the custody to go and take them. And sometimes I wonder whether this country, when we talk about democracy, rule of law, is really sometimes even working.
Yesterday I had somebody say, and I think that this is classic. All these things that are happening with these 3 South Africans with our ex-military men, these things are not new. It happens almost every day, except that it happens to the very ordinary Ghanaian. And so it's not headlined.
That is
and
correct.
Somehow it serves the politicians right. Let them go through it and let them fix the problem.
You see, let me tell you a story, Mavi. When a politician, a big political wig is incarcerated, maybe in Sawam for committing an offense, and then they go there, they see the conditions of the prisons. They come out and say, look, there's a problem with the prisons. We need to fix the problem by making sure that the conditions in the prisons are better within the first few weeks. Now let them go out and stay in their homes for about 2 months, 3 months. They forget. And the conditions of the prisons are getting worse and worse and worse. Because the problems are systemic. They are there. But you see, because sometimes the political elites are detached from the system, they don't see the problem. Go to our prisons right now and see how people are overcrowded. But there's a program, I think, even on my Joy program, one of the programs that
Said Kwame Boateng did that documentary, The Lord Not Forgotten, got a lot of attention.
Exactly. And this is not new. It is not new. But they are still there. Go and look at our police stations. I've been in touch with clients, and you see the toilet is the same as where they are sleeping in modern Accra.
Has always been like that.
That is the reason why I said there must be a change. You see, people must, the governments over the years must invest. That if you are in prison, it doesn't mean that you're not a human being. Because everybody can go to prison. We have potential, people who can be put in prison. You can drive down the road, knock somebody down. If you are not careful, you'll be incarcerated. You can just, be doing something which you think is maybe ordinary, but they can lead you to a problem. Or somebody can even, for some reason, come and put you in trouble. Maybe you are traveling, you never know. There's something in your bag. Maybe the bag was not packed by you, and that thing might be an illegal substance. You say you don't know anything about it. Before you are aware, you must be put there before you say it's an unbailable offense. Now, having been put there, you'll be there for a while. When the trial is over, and the judge says, well, maybe 10 years, go and stay in custody. You go there. And for an offense that maybe you have no idea about. It can happen to the big man, the small man, the medium man.
Yeah.
So I hold a view that let's just not build Ghana as if we are doing a thing for a certain class people. Let's do Ghana and make sure that the systems are put in place right for all of us our benefit. That's the way I think we should go.
Sure. We're wrapping up the conversation, but Roland, Dr. Kikimoto is also watching the show. This issue about deportation and repatriation, he's got a view on that. And he says, Mama, good morning. Both Aikweo too, and your good self, Mr. Mafo, you're both confused and Ghanaians. He holds the view. For example, when you're applying for British visa, it is stamped entry, but cannot work for pay. So when you're arrested working, you will be arrested and deported back to Ghana. Repatriation is when you enter a country due to certain bad situations. And if those bad situations are no more prevailing, then you could be repatriated, which means it is voluntary and not against your will. So this is the view. This is the view that he holds. Deportation involves immigration, homeland security, and organs like the BNI.
Let me you see, we have voluntary repatriation and involuntary repatriation. Now, the UK that he's giving you an example, I have lived in the system for quite a while. Let me give him some little education. You see, there was a time in the UK that they said all those who are living in the system, who are living there illegally, they have to leave if they want to go. Come and collect some money. It's a token money. And voluntarily, you will leave the country. It's voluntary repatriation. However, when you go and take the money, you don't come back. Now, if they arrest you with a visitor's visa, which you have gone beyond the 6 months mandatory stay, because you must be there 6 months, no more than 6 months, and you are arrested there and you are working, the visa does not allow you to work. And therefore, if you are found working, obviously it means that you are using somebody's paper to work. So if they go and investigate and they find out that, look, what you are doing is already illegal, it could contrary to your visa, first of all, you are taken to court. You are charged under the Immigration Act. You are charged. You are punished. When you are finished, then they will deport you. When they deport you, they put a stamp in the passport. They will do you 10 fingerprints, so that anytime you apply for another visa, once you put your hand on the machine, it will pick up immediately. You are no longer giving visas until 10 years and even beyond, or even forever. So I don't think that we are confusing anybody. The bottom line is that now, as it stands now, whether deportation or repatriation, the people are not in the system to attend to court, for the court to hear the matter, whether there was any merit in the case put before the court for which they were charged.
Okay, all right. Good education, but this is what I take out. I will stick to the GIS and say repatriation, because if you look at the things that Mr. Ikweotu said, if it was deportation, then the minister should have met certain requirements.
Yes.
Once it was so swift and GIS issued a statement on it, I'll go with repatriation.
And the executive instrument is not just issued, it is issued and published and gazetted.
So that'll take a while.
When you go to the government printer, you can find the into that deported a person. It's not just issued. It is issued and then printed and gazetted. So,
but this is Ministry of Interior, right?
This Interior.
Okay.
So if you were to go to the government printer right now, and they say the people were deported, you will find the instrument that deported them at the.
I called up immigration yesterday, and immigration said we were responsible for what happened.
So there's no deportation matter here. It's about repatriation.
Okay.
What they say for deportation, the instrument that deported them should be laying or should be at the government printer. Or are they saying that between the Friday when we were on the Easter holiday and then the Saturday and the Sunday and the Monday, that somebody had laid something before or issued an instrument and published it at the government printer? No.
We still have to cross-check.
There's nothing like that. In any event, for public holidays, nobody's working.
Yeah. Well, George Ndoma Hinkro sent us a message. Did you observe that the South Africans were not even in handcuffs, meaning they were not even capable of escaping from our security? What threat do they pose? Is this a sort of witch hunting? Well, that's your opinion. That's your comment. You're entitled to it. But Mr. Gary Nimakomafo, thank you so much, for the... Charlie, we should have a segment on law.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I would like to say thank you to Mr. Aikwe, who is a former Attorney General, for coming through as well. When we come back, Roland, there are other big national issues to be analyzed.
And we know that the Bank of Ghana governor, for example, has tendered in his resignation. And so very soon we'll be out of office.
We're told tomorrow. He's leaving tomorrow.
Well, and the other side is that he has many critics, apparently. And some say it's been long overdue.
Yeah.
He's been in office nearly 4 years. And
but to his critics, Roland, the cedi and the dollar is a bit stable.
Yes.
It's been stable for a while.
Before the stability, it got worse.
Yeah, it gets worse before it gets better. Isn't that what they say?
Well, that's what they say. It depends, because this is at the macro and micro level, and the way it has influenced people's lives. It's the deterioration of the livelihoods or the per capita conditions of people that becomes a subject of discussion that we all tend to look at. So we'll be discussing that adequately. We're going to have Nia Adekoka and Uncle Ade is the chairman for NDC Greater Accra, who will be in the studio, and Boniface Abubakar, who is also a member of parliament for...
a former member of parliament.
A former member of parliament, the Minister of State, but currently parliamentary candidate for Medina.
Exactly.
For the MPP.
Yeah.
So we'll have great discussions. So make sure you stay with us and we'll do other discussions. But in the meantime, though, Gary, thanks very much. I wanted to ask you a last question, though. The way this whole controversy has been marred in the politics of it, has it tend to cloud the actual issues of legalities and what has been done right and wrong?
I think that to answer you simply, it has. It has. And you see, that is why I always say that when an issue arises in this country, we should detach ourselves from this MPP, NDC, PPP politics and look at the real issues on the ground. You see, once you made it a political matter, and like Honorable Ikodo said, you call one MPP man, another NDC man, I'm pretty sure that the NDC man sitting there will defend the position of the NDC. MPP also equally do the same. And then the real issues on the ground, the legal matters on the ground, will be clouded. You see, that is why some people who are even criminals sometimes hide under the cloud of certain political entities to perpetuate illegality or criminality. So I think we should try as much as possible that when the problem arises in this country, let's look at the germane issues. What is the matter? These guys who came in, have they violated any law on our land? If they have, what is the law that they have violated? And if they have, what is the sanction procedure? If we go to the sanction procedure and the court finds that, look, your conduct is such that, or what you have done, you have violated this particular law, and the punishment for this is this, then you punish them. So that everybody will know that, look, irrespective of your political inclinations, if you do something wrong, the law is there to deal with you. But in a manner that even when they have been taken to court, and the people who themselves claim that somebody has violated the law, and when they take the person to court, they themselves now do acts which seeks to undermine the authority of the court. Then obviously, I mean, everything now becomes, political. And now the real issues becomes murky. We cannot even find out the matters.
Okay.
That is my difficulty. That's my difficulty. But the conduct of the BNI in this matter is very appalling. It should be condemned by all. These people, what they did, now we don't even know whether what they did, they have actually violated the law, and if whether they were punished by the system. Now they're in South Africa. By this morning, they're in South Africa already. They are drinking their tea or their coffee.
So it doesn't bring some finality to it.
No.
Well, thank you very much, Gary Nimako. Gary,
Don't take them
Nimako
out for
is,
otherwise.
he's a legal practitioner, and thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining us also. We've had a great discussion, and we're so much grateful that you've availed yourself. And we hope that anytime we call you, you'll be
welcome.
on hand.
You're welcome.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
And
All right.
we'll have to take a break. When we come back, we're doing discussions on AM Talk. Please stay on.